Hello, my sweet goats. Yo, welcome, guys, to another episode of Bunty King Live. I'm joined with one of my friends from like old fucking back in the day, college years. His name is Christopher Olimpo. He was formerly a what were you? You were a creative director at the Fifth Wall, and also now you were an award-winning producer for the Mummy VR, and now you have a company called Gliitch, which is pretty fucking chill. And we reconnected recently because I put up a Snapchat, fuck Snapchat, that's dead to me, Instagram story which I was just venting about the overall negativity of the online community, specifically in the political realm, especially if you're just trying to have a conversation. People just kind of second guess you all the time. And then you called me and things were really fucking chill and we just started talking. We hadn't spoken. I don't think I'd spoken to you on the phone, I would say, in a while. When's the last time I talked to you?
A while. I mean, few years.
2 years, man. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it was just life, man.
Yeah, life. I mean, I also did do something ratty. We could talk about that. We could talk about that. I mean, I would love to talk about that. I love talking about my past. The more people know about me, the better. Because I try to live my life as public as possible. That way, nobody can fuck with me. You know, no one can be like, "Hey, you did this and you didn't talk about it." You know, that way I'm like, it's completely clean. So we got together one day at my apartment when I was living with Kate, and we came up to this idea called Yada, and it was like this. It was pretty much what was it exactly? It was
I almost don't even want to talk about it publicly because we might still do it.
No, that doesn't matter. Honestly, ideas don't even matter.
No, I'm busting. The idea was Yada Reviews, which I still have the domain, which was part of what we were talking about, which was reviews for anything, and it was this idea of. I remember the whole story now that we're talking. You wanted to review people. And I was like, that's fucked.
I wanted to review people. It's true, I did. I did want to review people.
And then I was like, what if we review everything and professionals? So you could review, because I remember going to the dentist and I had a bad experience with the dentist. And then somehow deep in the internet somewhere, there was one review about this one dentist and how she's shit. And, I was like, damn it, I wish I would have found that earlier. And it's hard, you go on Rate My Teacher, you go on Amazon, you go on all these different things. And so we came up with this idea. It was you and I, we came up with it, at your place. I remember, and it's whatever, it's the whole fucking thing. But I remember I connected the dots on what if you combined Twitter with Wikipedia and reviews, and what if you allowed anyone to review anything with a simple search. They would not Google, but they would type in like the thing they want to review. And if it didn't exist, it would prompt you to create the first review, and you would have to write your review in about 140 characters. And there was this innovative way to use, 1 star instead of 5 stars, and this whole thing, and blah blah blah. It's super cool, and I still think it's cool.
I think it's cool too. I do. It's just a way to kind of like just aggregate what people think about things. People come to me earlier this year, someone came up to me and talked to me about some kind, I don't want to go in full detail, but talk to me about like some kind of thing that accurately measures clout, that can show like who's got more influence than other people based on certain topics and stuff like that, and it would just aggregate information from like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and just kind of collect it all together.
Influencer, essentially.
Sorry?
Like, who's the biggest influencer?
Not who's the biggest influencer, but like pretty much like, well, I mean, it just has an influencer rank, so it'd be a great thing for like, for example, advertisers who are looking to kind of advertise a specific brand. They'll be able to just go look at this and be like, all right, we should probably target that person. But yeah, no, that's something that he came up with, dude. But you've been fucking busy, man. You've been busy. We've both been busy, but you've been a little bit more successful than I am. I'm a YouTube bum. You're actually there making real moves.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
You're a YouTube bum. What are you talking about?
Well, it's just funny. It's because I remember meeting you back in the day in fucking college, and what I'm pretty much doing is I'm pretty much like, it's an upgraded version of whatever we were doing in college.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I
That's,
guess.
no, I think it's awesome because I think that we were fortunate to have an accurate self-identity, and a
Hmm.
lot of people don't have that. And I think that, you know, I think I'm very like blessed and lucky to have known what I wanted to do when I was a teenager. And I think people who are like-minded, let me turn off my notifications because that beep is going to get super
It's fucking loud, dude. It's fucking
annoying.
loud.
Like, by the way, it's like everyone, every time I hear that thing, I feel like I work at a hotel and people are just
Oh
like,
yeah. I know what you mean. That like, yeah, hitting the bell,
I don't work
trying
at
to
a
get your
hotel.
attention.
Yeah. What was I getting at? So, am I allowed to swear? Um,
Yeah, of course you're allowed to swear.
okay.
Absolutely.
So, I think that's why we, you know, like-minded people gravitate towards each other. So the plant, which was, I guess for your audience, whether they know or they don't know, which was a student paper that I always like to brag about by saying it was part of CUP, the Canadian University Press, to make it.
Oh my God, that's true. It was part of the Canadian University Press. It's true, guys. We were part of the Canadian University Press. We wrote for this paper called "The Plant" at Dawson College, and I came in there, and I remember specifically coming in there, and I was such a rat about it. I was like, I was such a rat about it. I remember like coming in, I was like, I want to fucking run the show here. Pretty much what ended up happening. I feel like even though I wasn't like editor in chief or something like that,
Yeah,
whoever owned the voices section, which is pretty much all the opinions,
yeah.
ran the show kind of in a way.
The truth is that 2 years before I knew about the plant, the only section you would read was discussions with an asshole, and that was your persona, and it was
Yeah.
hilarious.
It was hilarious. I read that. I read that stuff recently because I have like a flash drive with all my old writing on it,
Yeah.
and it's just so cringy. I was telling you, I was like cringing reading it. It was just hurtful. It was painful to fucking see.
Yeah.
Painful. I was like, someone read that, and it was crazy because I remember like teachers. Remember fucking Phil Vitone?
No.
You don't remember? Okay, you were in you were in an illustration and design, right? That's when you were in. Okay. So Phil Vitone was a syncom teacher, and like, and I remember him coming up, and he was like, it was so fucking funny, man. It was like he was like taking the paper, and he was like showing my work in his classroom to his students. I was like, what the fuck? It was so weird. It was so weird. A teacher came up to me at one point and says, "Yo, you should keep doing what you're doing." You know, like I was like, "What the fuck?" And I'm reading the stuff now, and I'm like, "Why did anyone ever see any value in any of this stuff?" But I guess that's something that a lot of people
It
will
was
see. So
entertaining. It was entertaining, and I think it was prior to. It was like, it sounds stupid to say this, but it was somewhat ahead of its time. You know what I mean? Like in terms of the type of stuff, content that you read now, and it was funny for that specific age demographic, that specific niche, comedy specific to what's going on at, you know, at the college. You know, it was just clever. I don't remember the exact jokes, but I remember a rant about Uggs, how fucking fed up we were about girls wearing Uggs, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
yeah, but I mean, I don't even like. I would read that now and be like, who gives a fuck if they're wearing Uggs? You know, like that's just me now. I guess yeah, you're right. It was really for the times, right?
Time
And
when you're a bunch of kids in
yeah,
college and you're all observing the same thing. And that's where, you know, we were kind of similar because I was the comics editor, right? And I had Dawson Doesn't Like Derek. And then I'd pull observations on like the Dawson Student Union and other little things the school would do. Like, you know, I remember when there was the H1N1 scare and all of a sudden you had like all of these like hand sanitizers everywhere. Like everyone was using them like crazy. So like we wrote a bunch of jokes about that. And I think that our experience at the plant, this is what we were talking about on the phone the other day, like set us up to become entrepreneurial and totally independent and unafraid to have a voice and unafraid to go out there and like be yourself and tell people what your opinion is on things. And to do it in a concise and clear and eloquent way, you know, that I don't think would have been possible if I wouldn't have joined that little club and that class. That was awesome.
that's true, man. It is true. It's like it's just like you know, like everything does like it sounds so stupid to say this, but everything does kind of happen for a reason. You know, like everything that when I look back on my life, I'm like, oh, this falls into this place, this falls into that place. You know, like it's only obvious looking back. like obvious when you're there, you know.
Yeah.
Though honestly, man, like I feel like, you know, because I mean, it was also a way to get our English credits, right? And it was like this. I found it was the sickest way to get English credits. We got double English credits because of being in the plant. It was amazing. So like technically, you need to what? You could just be at the plant for a year, and then you would just be done with English. So you'd be able to draw like just. It was so sick, you know. But we loved it. We loved it. So we stayed. Right?
You know, if someone sold it like that, it's like, okay, like you're gonna have the funnest time you've ever had in school. You're gonna work hard, but you're gonna get double the credits, and you're gonna meet amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it sounds like a triple win. That's impossible, and that's exactly what happened. And in the end, it was easier because the course material was practical, as opposed to go and read 5 books that you're not going to care about, you know, and go and write like a bunch of 1,000-word essays about these topics that, you know, whatever. But no, it was super cool. I forgot about the credits. That was why I did it originally. It was very, yeah, I just wanted the credits.
Yeah, man. Well, that's what I went in for as well. Plus, I just wanted to kind of join the cool kids club. I guess that was always like some of my fucking one of my. It was pretty sick. I mean, look, dude, we got free passes to movies all the time. You know, like they would just hook that up.
Go and review them.
There was some good drama. You know, there was some good looking babes that would always come by like that area all the time.
That is true.
There was so many fucking hot girls that would just swing by. It was amazing.
Ali Mazzi, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, no, dude, for sure. And it's crazy. They're fully involved in like journalism too now.
That was amazing. David Meffe, Ali Mazzi.
David, oh my God, David Meffe, fucking this guy traveling the world. Insane.
Sports guy.
Insane. Yeah. No, Marley. Oh my God, Marley. Yeah, what's Marley been up to? Do you know what he's up to?
I think he's still producing, doing some indie films and stuff like that.
That's pretty sick. See, that's really sick. And here I am on YouTube with like just crazy, man. It's crazy. No, my channel took like a big time hit after I lost my second Twitter account, which was at 47,000 followers, I think, around. And yeah, it's been a hard climb since.
Why'd you lose it?
What? I lost it because some fucking loser was being a loser, and I quote tweeted him, and I was like, guys, just send this fucking guy some hugs because he needs hugs. There was more to it. Like I said, I wrote it differently, but that's pretty much what the gist of it was.
Okay.
And so they took that tweet and they reported it for targeted harassment.
Interesting.
So I might appeal it again because they've recently come up with some new rules for the appeal.
Okay.
Because before, when you tried appealing it, they would give you just some vague response on what you're doing, but now they'll actually show you the tweet that got reported. And yeah. So dude, tell my audience a bit about yourself and like what your like new business is about, and then we're gonna get into like your trip to Saudi Arabia, which I thought was really, really interesting because when I heard you talking about it, I was like, fuck, we got to talk about this shit.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how to talk about myself. I mean, so, you know, just founded a company named Gliitch. It's spelled with 2 I's because I like being meta and putting a glitch within the name itself sounded cool. And we're responsible for VR and AR content production. So we're developing our own products, our own content. We actually have a game that's going to be releasing this week called Santa's AR Workshop. It'd be super cool.
Really?
Yeah.
iPhone
game. I'll show it to you another time. It's pretty dope. I'm actually in talks with someone there right now to try and get featured placement. I mean, we'll see what happens. Our fingers are crossed. But it's something that we developed within 2 weeks. Funny enough, it's an old idea that I had maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It was meant for a touch phone, and now we did it, and it's ridiculously fun. Like, I've been playing it. Like, my developer and I have been competing for each other's high scores before the game is out. And now my friend is competing for it. My friend's wife is competing for it. The game is oddly addictive, and you basically just play an elf who has a table in front of him, and you have to make toys. You have to put toy parts together, but it's an augmented reality, so you can actually move within 3D space. So it's like a 3D AR puzzle. It's unlike anything you've played before.
That's
So
pretty
it's
sick.
pretty cool.
That's
And
pretty sick.
so prior to founding Glitch, I was working as a creative director at Fifth Wall.
Which is another VR company, right? Montreal based.
Exactly, Montreal-based AR VR company, which used to be an agency, is no longer an agency anymore. And
An agency meaning it was a marketing agency as well.
exactly,
Okay.
that's how we position ourselves. When I joined, it was originally a tech company,
Mm-hmm.
and after joining, basically the CEO there, who used to be the founder of AskMen.com, asked me to join in as a creative director. And together, as this new team was forming, we felt that having a marketing angle would give us a leverage and an advantage over other VR tech companies, which were very focused on the tech. And we felt that the content that was being created just was too focused on the technology and not focused on the quality of the content. And that's what allowed us to sort of do some amazing stuff. So the first few months, I remember within my second day there, we closed a massive deal, an architecture deal, doing like a virtual reality for real estate. And then within 3 months after hustling and doing some of the most coolest pitches, I got to pitch Madison Avenue at Coca-Cola, which was just like surreal. You know, like being a huge Mad Men fan and going there is just like living the Don Draper fantasy, where you're like Don Draper in the future pitching like creative to like some crazy executives and just like
That's really sick, man. I had like my marketing a bit there. I don't know if you know, but I was working for a company called Kika Marketing,
okay,
and I started off over there working with a client called Rubicon Organics, and they had three actual cannabis brands. The first one was one that was based in Seattle, no, sorry, in Washington, not Seattle. No, it was Seattle, and it was called Doctor and Crook. And then the other second one was another brand called 1964.
that's a good name.
Yeah, it's a cool name because it's when they discovered like the THC in cannabis.
Okay,
Yeah, it was interesting. So it had like a bit of like historical value, and it was like just like a really cool brand because it was connected with like the culture, LA culture, street art, and stuff like that. So,
very cool.
I find that like there's this big thing that's happening right now in terms of cannabis right now as it becomes legalized. People are a little bit wary. They don't want it to be just like fully like just corporatized because it could
Yeah,
just become shit, you know? Like
yeah,
like cannabis has always been a cultural thing. Like, people have grown the best possible bud and then smoke that. And
yeah.
it's been like something that's been associated with like art festivals, stuff like that, right?
Mm.
And so, this brand was really interesting because they didn't want to be a corporate brand. They wanted to inject themselves within the culture, source local artists, and really represent like the cultural vibe of the city. And so I love that. I love that about it, And so those are the two brands that I was kind of like championing in terms of their social media presence.
Oh,
So yeah, I definitely had like I was like, man, if I could be the Don Draper of the cannabis industry, that would be sick because
that's
it's a completely brand new industry, right? But then things kind of went things just kind of went like we ended the contract with them, and that was it. And then no more cannabis. But it's definitely something I'm super interested in getting into again. Have you touched the cannabis industry at all?
no.
It's fucking sick, man. It's interesting and it's fun to market in because you have to like really do a lot of weird shit to get it to effectively market the brands because you can't just like show images of people smoking or like advertise like actual like joints and flowers on Instagram. You can't do that. You can't be like, this is our bud, go and buy it here. You can't do that. No way. You have to like sneak it in somehow. So it's like you got to
Funny
be
funny enough, I do have a friend that wanted to start a cannabis clothing brand, and
really.
he wanted my help in terms of coming up with a name because he
Hmm.
knows just good at coming up with names that way. We did a mind map at my old apartment, and we came up with a name. It was actually pretty cool. I think he still might use it, so I won't say it. But it was fun to go through, the mind map of there's so many cheesy things. Like he was telling me about how like I wanted to be a classy, clothing brand, like something Jay-Z would wear or like whatever, and like not a big pop plant on my shirt or some shit like that. And the way that we went through the brainstorm was I pulled out these huge pieces of, you know, sketch paper, like massive, and then we started writing down. I was like, let's write down all the cheesy things we could think of, you know, like ganja wear and all this terrible like shit.
Yeah, yeah.
We wrote all that, and then
So when you do a mind map, right? Do you do a physical mind map like on a wall somewhere?
absolutely.
That's sick, and you find that it's better than doing a digital mind map, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the act of using your hands and writing things down, it stays in your mind a little more.
Yeah.
And also just see like it's also quicker. It's a little more interactive. You can pass people a pen or a marker, and you can go start writing down together, and you start forming. It's a little more fluid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, as you get closer to an idea, if you haven't resolved it on the spot, if you aren't lucky enough, sometimes, you know, I've been lucky, I've been fortunate, but sometimes you're not, then you take the result of that ideation and then you digitize that. And obviously, I do a lot of my stuff digitally, but I remember we went on this tangent by looking at like London fog and how London fog has nothing to do with anything. It's a mood. And then from there, we sort of figured out, you know, the name that we came up with. I'm not going to respect to him. So, but yeah, I think cannabis industry is super cool. I just haven't had an opportunity to explore that yet.
It'd be really, actually, I could see it being something really interesting because as, you know, AR becomes more of a reality, we're probably going to start seeing AR-based social networks, and that will be really an interesting platform to advertise cannabis on. Just imagine, like, you know, like being able to like manipulate a flower or look at joints on a table like that, you know, that are actual joints that you can order. You know, it'd be really interesting. I can see all the possibilities that could happen there. It'd be really fucking cool.
Yeah.
So that's really sick, man. And now Gliitch, dude. Now you said how long did you form the company?
Like 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, huh? Yeah. And when did you go to Saudi Arabia? Because that's something that I'm very interested in talking about. Like, when did you go?
About it might be, you know,
It had to have been over a month ago for sure because it was before the coup, right?
Yeah, it was right before. So it's about a month to 2 months ago. This year has been so intense. It's been such a blur. Like this year, we launched 50 Shades Darker VR at Sundance, which was awesome. We launched the Mummy VR all over the world. You know, like the coolest one was having it on at 30 Rock. I got to go with my mom and my sister. We got to premiere it there, and we premiered it at South by Southwest, which was insane. And you know, we worked really closely with the executive producers of creative content and stuff like that at Universal Studios to get all that done. But it was like insane. Like this year's been like an insane ride. I am exhausted. I can't wait, you know, to take a small break for the holidays. But after doing all that, all this Hollywood stuff, which was super cool, and working with, you know, Tom Cruise himself and his crew and his team on this VR piece, it was an incredible like learning experience, incredibly cool, you know, piece of content that we developed. After all that, somehow we basically pivoted and got wind of what the Prince of Saudi Arabia wanted to do down there. And they're just like a fluke. This other agency that we've been working with for a while, who does the opening ceremonies for UEFA, has worked on some stuff for F1 and is now working on stuff for the Special Olympics and etc., was approached by Richard Atheist and Associates, which was running this event called the Future Investment Initiative, which was a very cool international event that brings together, you know, hundreds upon hundreds of CEOs from around the world, including, you know, Richard Branson.
So pretty much it's like a convention for the 1%. Yeah, that's pretty sick. That's really sick. I think that's cool.
Yeah, but it's like with the right, like I had the chance to attend.
The 1%, by the way, the 1% has some kind of stigma behind it. I don't have a problem with the 1%. The 1%, in my opinion, have earned their 1%. Like they got to the top somehow. All right. Well, if you look at people like Richard Branson isn't Richard Branson like a rags to riches story?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this guy had nothing, and now he's one of the 1%, and like I have no problem with someone like that, you know, having the amount of wealth that they have. So it's just, for me, it doesn't bother me in the least.
Yeah. I had a chance to say hi and shake his hand, which was super cool. The
Yeah.
cool person I got to meet in Saudi, but this is more of the geek in me found this to be the coolest thing, was when we presented. So we had to present some virtual reality stuff and some holograms to the prince and stuff like that, which was a little surreal. But there was this guy there next to me who was presenting stuff for Virgin Galactic, and we had this nice long conversation after we presented to the prince, and then we were talking about a bunch of stuff, like just talking, right? And before he leaves, he comes up to me and he's like, hey, the next time you're in LA, Chris, I really want you to come by. We'll show you the spaceship and all this stuff. And he hands me his card. And it's George Whiteside's. And I'm just thinking, like, this is like a salesman. It's like the CEO.
That's
like,
crazy.
What?
That's nuts, man. That's totally nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So when you presented this stuff to the Crown Prince, like, what was that like? Like, did you have to be did you have to like bow to him or anything like that? Did you have to do something?
Oh, no.
Or he was just straight business, right? He was just like straight business. Like you went up to him, shook his hand.
So yeah, I mean, it's a lot more casual than people would think. In this case, he's presenting what they're coining as Vision 2030 to the world. And similar to what we did here in Montreal at Expo 67, he created an expo, and that's what we were in charge of helping him with.
So this expo happened in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
And this is an expo that had everybody like come to.
So
right?
No, so everyone came to the Future Investment Initiative, which was held right next to the Ritz in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
In the KAICC, which I don't remember exactly what the acronym stands for, so I won't say it. And it's the same place where Donald Trump and Obama went to meet the Crown Prince, like when they went to meet him. They've only used this place like 8 times, which is a shame. And people come for the Future Investment Initiative, and the expo was like a part of that, where people would opt in to see, because it just happened to be held in Saudi Arabia, this Future Investment Initiative. And then people got a chance to see like what their plans are for the future. So we were responsible for creating virtual reality, augmented reality. We had an AI robot and all this other cool stuff and these holograms that were showcasing these 3 new cities that they want to build. So he's investing like $500 billion in building a city called Neom, which is supposed to be, the ambition is to make it like the next big tech hub of the world. The most coolest thing that I got to see, which allowed me to build a bit of a different worldview, was how tech hubs on our planet, we assume that they just form, but they're actually investments that countries do. So San Francisco didn't just become San Francisco overnight. And London used to be the revolutionary tech city, tech hub of the world. That didn't just happen overnight. That is, a group of leaders consciously making a decision to create tax credits and to invest in businesses in a specific area to attract talent. And the conversations that I got to witness and got to be a part of were kind of intense in terms of the level of politics involved in innovation. Because, for me, this, I've always been interested in the crossroads between, good writing, comedy, technology, and like art and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
Innovation is a massive thing. I've never been a fan of politics. I don't understand politics. I don't care about politics.
Well, it's funny because often enough, man, the innovations are what pretty much lead to the politics, right?
Yeah.
So that's ultimately it. Like it's money that runs the politics. It's whatever's happening, right? So the thing that I think is super fascinating about you going to a place like Saudi Arabia, I had no fucking clue you could just go in there. I had no, I had a clue. I'm pretty sure you could just fucking fly into Saudi Arabia, but like I have no intention of wanting to go there or had any intention of wanting to go there because of just the tyrannical nature of their government or what I hear of it, right? Yeah. And so when you went there, I mean, like, listen, I feel like I would feel in danger there because I feel like I've said some stuff about Islam that they wouldn't like, So if they were to run like a bit of history on me or some kind of like background check on me, or if they were looking at my YouTube channel and see me talk shit, they'd be like, well, look at this,
Yeah. I could tell you that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Continue.
Well, I could say that, obviously it wasn't easy to get in. I had to get a work visa and I had to do all this stuff. but I can confidently say that it's nothing like what's portrayed in the media. Like,
Wow.
and,
Interesting.
and going in, prior to going, like, I was like anyone else. Like, I was a little afraid. I did have some opinions that I realized were totally biased and totally, like, I guess, like, racist, for lack of a better word, because it was an uneducated, way of thinking. On my first week there, I was there for like about 2 weeks and a half. My first week there was kind of, bad, but it wasn't great either. And you're kind of in this cloud of uncertainty and fear, and you're kind of like, because there's like people drive kind of crazy over there. Like, I've never seen worse drivers in my life.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was intense. But they know it. So like, and now I have Saudi friends now, like local Saudis, men and women, and like they all know. They know they're intense drivers. So I'm not saying anything hateful here, but you know, it was a completely life-changing experience and changed your perspective entirely, because going in, I was kind of afraid, and you're kind of like, you're being told all these things. Like, you're
Yeah.
being told, like, do not look at women, because if you look at a girl in the eyes, her husband can get you thrown in jail. You're being told things like, you know, um, always use your right hand, which, never use your left hand when you hand something to someone. You're being told things like stupid things, like people aren't allowed to walk their pets outside, because if someone walks a pet, it might inspire conversations amongst men and women. And the first week, you're kind of like, okay. Well, the reason why I'm saying the first week was tough is because I was only working. I would basically go to my hotel. We went to Riyadh, and I honestly just started calling it rehab, because like, I'd go to work in the morning, I'd have my meal, I'd go back to the hotel, go to the gym, have another meal, go to bed super early because there's nothing to do, and then like go to work, and that's it. But the first week, you're only working um, with your team and with people from other countries, like other companies. But then the second week, we start working with local Saudis, right? Because some of them have to be hosts at this event and everything. And it just like completely like blows your mind how down to earth and how nice and how cultured and how intelligent and how awesome they all are. And as you start becoming friends with some of them, and you start building personal relationships, you start realizing that there were definitely different classes of people here. And I had the chance to build relationships with people in very high places, people who were right below the prince, like doctors and stuff like that. And I had the chance to meet middle class to lower class people who had just average jobs, who like go to school and study photography and work at McDonald's and random places, right? I and in talking to them, you start bringing up all these things, and you start saying like, hey, I'm not going to name names, but like, hey, like, what about alcohol? What about this? What about all this stuff? And you just realize that for the past few years, the prince has done a huge and tremendous effort in removing extremism and removing the religious police and doing all this stuff. It just hasn't caught up to the media. And to be honest, the media like is going to make money from just putting out certain stories. And that's not to say that there isn't extremism there and all that stuff. It is there. It's something to be taken seriously. It's something to be conquered. But when I said earlier that I felt kind of racist, what I meant by that was I felt uneducated in terms of I just sort of always never even took the time to look into Saudi Arabia, and just assumed that the tiny little bits of information that I had about it, which was spoon fed to me, spoon fed to my into my ears through different news channels and stuff like that. I just assumed that that was the truth, and that all of Saudi Arabia was like that. And it's just dumb as hell. It was really dumb to be afraid. It was really dumb entirely, because I just met some really, really, really cool and really awesome people. There were other, like, yeah, I can go on and on, but
That's cool. No, it's really cool. So you would say like just based on experiences there, for example, like that. I mean, there's this thing that you probably saw in the news about how women are finally allowed to drive, right?
yeah,
And I've seen videos of like women being like whipped back into like a private room for their driver to come pick them up.
yeah.
Like do women still need to be accompanied there?
Sorry.
Do women still need to be accompanied by a male guardian there?
So I don't know everything, right? From what I saw in Riyadh, that didn't seem to be the case.
Okay.
Um, I ended up going on a date with a local Saudi girl, and we went for coffee at this place, and she was like amazing and awesome. She didn't have to wear a hijab, which I mean is pretty would seem taboo to us. It's surprising to most people, but I had a better date with her than I did with most girls that I meet. To be honest,
You went on a date there.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. You went on a date in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
With literally
that's something you would never hear
yeah.
They would never talk about that. You went on a date in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I wouldn't ask you to name them. Definitely not
live. No, I wouldn't. I mean, no. The point. But I mean, and the truth is that I still talk to her, and I was, infatuated when I saw her, and when we had a conversation, it kind of clicked. Super smart. She works at, I won't say where she works, but she's done like an intern. She wants to do an internship at Bloomberg and all this other stuff, and she works as consulting at this place and all this other stuff. But we still talk now, and like, to be honest, I think that it was very interesting to see how, just how well educated and how cultured all these people are. And funny enough, like, I think what intrigued me the most was how, here in Montreal, if you date a local Quebecois person or something, there's this culture gap. Like we'll watch things like Curb Your Enthusiasm and Seinfeld and whatever. And there's this culture gap if you're dating a French girl. She has no idea what you're talking about. You also have to introduce her to your world.
Yeah.
Then I go to Saudi, and I meet these people, and they all know about Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm. They all watch Netflix. They all do all that stuff, and you're like, okay. When I went on the date with her, the cafe was so typical hipster that I was like, what?
What world am I in? Yeah, that's crazy. That's nuts, man.
What's happening? And then I'll tell you the funniest thing. So I'm looking at the wall, and on the wall there's all of these like apartment stuff, like books and like canvases and all these quotes, and I'm just like, this is really reminding me of like American Apparel. And then she looks at me and she's like, "Do you mean Urban Outfitters?" And I was like, "What the fuck?"
That's sick. That's actually really sick.
Like that's so specific.
I love that. That's fucking cool, man. That's really cool. I mean, there was also like when I found out about this Crown Prince, it was really just big when they started talking about how it was after the coup.
Yeah.
All these other princes got arrested.
Yeah.
And you said that they were all arrested in that hotel?
Yeah. Well, yes. They were, I guess not all of them. I think there's a few of them, but a large majority of them were held in under house arrest at the Ritz.
Oh my God.
Which is like, which when you say it like that, it sounds like, well, what a great place to be under house arrest, and one of the most gorgeous like palaces, palace hotels you've ever seen. But the truth is that they were all like in one room together in sleeping bags and etc.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
That is so funny. I mean, like a bunch of them were big rats, from what I understand, like funding like some bullshit in the Middle East and stuff like that. And I feel like this Crown Prince, wants to actually reform Islam. And I tweeted, like after that news, I said, listen, I'm just letting you guys know that I'm pretty sure we're going to see an Islamic reform in our lifetime. Which
would be amazing to see.
Would be really sick to see. Yeah. But I feel like based on what you're telling me about Saudi Arabia, is like it looks like it's closer than it is, and like it seems like the media is really just kind of if everything that you say is true, it seems like the media is really blowing shit up out of proportion just to kind of like turn a quick buck and stoke those flames that are currently are political spectrum.
Well, I think they put specific things into a magnifying glass, and then they, like you said, blow it out of proportion. So
Yeah. So they'll take
include. It's basically like, you know how they say, what is it again? You can't like you take the good with the bad or whatever. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what it was, but basically, like they basically just focus on the bad without taking into account like everything else. Yeah.
So if I keep looking back, it's because the studio that I'm set up at,
Yeah.
you know, it's an apartment, right? And we're on the ground floor, and the apartment above us, whenever they shower, this dirty ass brown water leaks from the fucking ceiling. So right now it's like intense leaking, intense. It's fucking disgusting. I'm looking at it, it's like fucking gross, and it looks brown. It actually, it looks fucking brown, straight up. It's
Oh my God.
God, it's gross, bro. It's just a horrible thing, horrible thing to see. Yeah. So I mean, like, what was your reaction when you found out about like that coup? What was like when you originally saw it? Because I mean, you saw the Crown Prince, right? What was your impression of him?
My impression was, you know, I don't think so. My impression was, it's funny because there's a few layers to that. So there's the impression of meeting him in person, and then what he is to his entourage. You know, it's like he's almost like the boogeyman there. The prince is coming. The prince, like every night that I was there, the prince was coming to review our stuff, but he was never coming. You know, and the day that he was finally coming, the funniest thing that happened was I met this film producer there, who I gave him a guided tour of the expo, and we were having this conversation, and randomly we basically got to talking about movies, and we found out, you know, our mutual interest. And he basically tells me like, well, I'm writing a script, you know, I'm writing a script to talk about this whole thing that's going on with these new cities here and all this other stuff. And, you know, I'm actually having dinner with the prince later. I'm like, man, that's awesome. Good luck, you know? So while everyone is like, the prince is coming in 10 minutes, I'm now texting this guy while he's telling me like, yeah, we're ordering our second course, you know, like we're doing all this stuff. So I know exactly when the prince is coming. So people are very nervous around him. There is definitely, you know, militarized security around him. Like there are at different layers and different levels. They had like all these jammers around him, etc. But meeting him, my first impression was that this guy's incredibly tall, and he seems, you know, from a little bit that I got to witness, very smart. So when he was on the panel talking about his vision for 2030, talking about, he made the announcement there, and the bigger announcement that people should have noticed, should have recognized, was that he, you know, publicly said that he wants to absolutely put an end to extremism. Period. Like he doesn't want to tolerate it anymore.
Really?
And, yeah, and hearing someone say that, you know, you obviously question, you know, is it a political move? Is it the truth? Is it not? I think that's why he did what he did so fast, to show people that he was serious. What was interesting was getting to build these relationships with the local Saudis as well, gave me a chance to not only hear what, you know, the prince and his team has to say, not only hear their perspective, which could have been easily perceived as a bullshit story. I got to see both points of view. And funny enough, you saw them go from being really skeptical, the local Saudis, being really skeptical about this whole thing, to being very hopeful and being very excited about this whole thing. And that's where it started, like, being this really, like, you know, life-changing moment, because, you know, working on the Hollywood sets and everything was super cool. It was like a very unique and awesome experience. You're traveling the world, and you're seeing all these like glamorous people and all this cool stuff. But being there and seeing like a group of you know, young, like smart, talented people have hope for their future, and to see them like light up when they start looking at what we were trying to do, and the message, and the fact that they were going to contribute to passing this message on, was huge. You know, I have these super cool pictures that I could show you another time of like me with some of the local Saudis there, and just like to see them talk about how, you know, I really hope that this is real, like this is the one to really make a change and everything else. And it was unanimous. I even took like when I took an Uber back from a client meeting and back to the hotel on the Uber, like 50% of the population there is under 25 or 35. I can't remember, but they're young. Like a lot of them are millennials. So they've grown up with the internet, so they have a worldview that is far more, you know, assimilated to, you know, our thoughts and our ideologies. And by our, I don't mean Canadian or American or anything like that.
So
By
you just mean like normal person.
our generation, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. We actually like it's communication has kind of propelled this like this need or this desire to just change and like almost unify in a way.
Yeah.
Um yeah, no, it's honestly like it's really fascinating to hear this story of what Saudi Arabia is like. It's
Yeah.
fucking absolutely nuts. Um um
There's still
okay, so it's
sorry to cut
actually
you off.
there's a chat. There's a question here.
Yeah.
So this had asked Christopher about the slums in Saudi. The government there pretends there's no poverty and tries to hide it. Do you like know about the slums? Did anyone talk to you about that there?
So not enough. I don't know enough about it, and I mean it's a really good question. There's only one time where I got to experience what may have been perceived as a slum, and to be entirely honest, I'm sure the slums were worse than what I got to see. But an Uber driver drove me to the wrong location, and then I decided to just get out of the car and I just like started walking around. I'm a bit of an idiot too, like I'm just
It's crazy, man. Okay.
right. So like whatever, like, you know, my coworkers weren't too. Well, my boss wasn't too happy about that. I was just like, it's my life. I'll do what I want. And, you know, and I got to see some, you know, I got to feel a bit of what it meant to live in the desert. And there was like this convenience store type place that was just filled with just jugs of water. And I saw this like woman like with a carriage, just, you know, walking her baby there and like carrying an empty jug and like going to this place. And you know, that I'm sure that's not the slums, but it was enough for me to feel the weight and the heaviness of how much this city needs change. And the truth is that, you know, if what I'm saying here is very positive, and it's because it's literally like I could show you the messages on my phone of the friends that I made there that basically are aching and begging for people to share this message with the rest of the world. So people are aware that there is another group of really good, common, decent, spiritual and atheist people like there. You know, not that atheism or spirituality has anything to do with it, but the point is that like they have their own worldviews. They're just like us, and they need the change. At the same time, like we can be realistic. Like some of them were honest in saying, "Why are you putting $500 billion into building a new city? Just put that money into Riyadh and help us fix our city. Why put it into someplace new?" You know what I mean? And I can't really speak on the exact reasons why they're doing that. I think it's potentially because it's easier to work on a new land. But the other thing to say, which I thought was really funny, and it seemed like other marketers and other like people agreed, Riyadh itself is in the most weirdest location to have a capital ever. It's in the middle of a desert. There is no water. It isn't by like, you know, Montreal is by the water. New York is an island covered in water. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
all these hubs are next to water. For we all need water. It's like one of the main things. You know what I mean? And these new locations where they're building these cities are much better for those resources and those things. They're better for the economy. They're better for the livability. Like Neom itself, the entire plan around building a city is 100% around sustainable livability. And that's why it's so impressive to see. Like they want to build a solar farm the size of Montreal. Like to call Neom a city is absurd. It's like it's a land. It's massive, right?
Okay.
They have amazing sun there, amazing wind, and you know, the chance to do something huge. So to get back to the question, you can tell I don't do too many interviews here because I could just rant. But to get
No,
back,
man, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm listening. I'm listening. This is the least I've ever spoken because I, first of all, haven't been talking to you, right, in the longest
yeah,
time, and it's not like it's weird because we're not in a debate setting here. Even though like I'm not really much of a debater, I'm more of a conversationalist. Whenever I have people on my show, a lot of times we're talking about topics that like kind of like beg me
yeah,
to like it's like I have to put in my 2 cents when we're talking about something. So if we're
yeah,
talking about like race relations or we're talking about like just being a person, I'll want to fucking talk about this kind of stuff,
yeah,
right? And I'll go on tangents too. But
yeah,
listening to you, I just want to know that because I've never fucking been to Saudi Arabia. I've never been there. I don't know if I'm ever going to be like if I'm ever going to go there. But from what you're telling me, it seems like it's a place that's not being represented properly in the media, and that essentially the crown prince likes money, all right, like every normal person does, because they've come to understand that money is what's making everything work,
yeah,
and that they need to play with other people. And
yeah,
so in order to play with other people, they need to make their city, they need to open up their city to or open up their lands to other people. And
yeah,
the only way to do that is by eliminating extremism.
yeah,
So I just ultimately see, as we kind of like naturally progress to this global society. Now, that's really interesting. A lot of people will go ahead and say, "Oh, you're fucking crazy, man. It's not natural to be a global society." No, no, really, honestly, man, it's ultimate. We're all talking now. The internet has got us all to start communicating with each other. So naturally, we're almost in each other's backyards at this point, just yelling at each other, saying these things to each other, and
yeah,
we're not ready for it. So many people aren't ready for it. It freaks them the fuck out to see everyone kind of like just going everywhere. But I mean, ultimately, what I see happening, is that I feel like I'm going to like I love Montreal. I want to set it up as my home base. Like this is the place where I want to be, like during the summers and the fall and stuff like that. And um, but fuck, I would love to be in a warmer place during the winter. I hate winters here. They're so shit. They're remarkably shit.
go to Venice, LA.
Fuck, man, I would love that. I would love that. But like, that's the thing. We're becoming a global society. Inevitably, we're becoming a global
The
society.
weather isn't going to be global.
Well, the weather won't be global, but what I'm trying to say is like ultimately people are just going to be moving around everywhere, everywhere, and the 1% knows this. They
Yeah,
know this, man. All the fucking big people know this, man. All the people with all the money know that people are curious, especially with the rise of the internet. People want to go and fucking live in Bangkok. They want to live in fucking Thailand. They want to live in fuck Thailand. They all do that. They all live in Thailand. They want to live in fucking Bali. All these fucking places. It's like it's interesting. It's just
but I mean,
interesting.
it's interesting. But I find this is off topic, but I'm curious to know your point of view on this. But don't you feel like everyone is a world traveler now? Like everyone I see on social media is just posting everywhere, like all the cities they've been to. They all have the same pictures, next to Big Ben and drinking, this thing. And I'm just like,
Everyone's so basic.
well, it's
Everyone wants to do the same thing.
it's
Yeah.
so HBO, like Sex in the City. It's like sort of like, and it's this weird thing where it's like it's the chicken or egg thing. Like, was it cool? Therefore, people on television did it. Therefore, people are doing it now. Because like a big thing that I'm dealing with.
My favorite is the one where they're on the Leaning Tower of Pizza and they're like holding it up.
Yeah,
That's my favorite shot. Like that's my
yeah,
favorite like Instagram post that I see every now and then. And it's
yeah.
like they're like, "Oh, check this out! Look, I'm saving the Leaning Tower of Pizza."
That before. I've never seen that before. I mean, you know, and it's like it's a thing. It's like it's really a thing, and it bothers me sometimes. So I always contemplate whether I should post something or not, and I do because I'm just like, whatever, who cares? I'm gonna post it. My friends are gonna see it, and like whatever. But there are so many other pictures that I have that I just keep to myself, like the golden toilets at the palace in Saudi. Like absurd. But there's like I don't know. Like I guess what I'm getting at is there's this idea that you need to be specifically somewhere in order to accomplish your goal or your dream or to find yourself and all stuff. It's like, no, you don't you don't need to do that. And you're not unfortunate if you didn't travel. And in fact, like I I am only a well-traveled person now because of work, but by no means am I an experienced traveler. Like if I had to book my own vacation and do that whole thing, Like I'd be such a loser because I just care about the work so much. I care about producing really cool, awesome stuff. You know this for a fact. You saw me, pull all-nighters and just be so
Yeah,
crazy
man.
and drunk with passion that I would just do whatever it took to make the thing as best as it could be. And it just happened to be that while working there, while working at Fifth Wall, I had to travel to get those things done because these people are in other countries. But Montreal, like any other city, is going to be where I'm going to start, our business. And Montreal happens to be very well connected with people around the world and all this other stuff. And I honestly believe that because of the internet, like you're saying, with this idea of globalization, you could start a business anywhere in the world. It's up to you to choose, where that's going to be. But if you live in, I don't know, like Newfoundland, I don't know, some random, you live in the North Pole, like as long as you have internet, as long as you have Wi-Fi, like you could do it,
That's it. That's it. I've always said I can live anywhere, so long as I like obviously have a place that's chill, and I have access to high speed internet. That's really what I need. High speed internet is all I need.
Yeah.
And then I'm good to fucking go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, dude, a lot of like back in the day, I was like, oh, I want to go to LA. I want to live there. It'll be better if I when I'm there. And yeah, I was recently in LA. And it was like really cool being with my friends there because now I have friends there, and I want to go back because I fucking miss them. But you have to find your happiness where you're at. You're not going to be able to find your happiness elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is that I've started to find my happiness in Montreal, and all on top of that, man, all the fuck, dude, you have no fucking clue. I don't know, like, listen, you've not been into politics, which is great and fascinating and everything, because you've been doing your thing, just making moves and just really kind of like actually just making your mark in the world. But I've been involved in the politics on YouTube and Twitter, man, and I'm telling you, bro, people here are fucking retarded. They're actually out of their fucking minds. Like, it's insane. There are things being said that you would never believe.
Like what?
Just do it. Like people talking about like ethno states. They're talking about like a fucking what's the word I'm looking for here? A partition in terms of getting colored people out of like the West. It's fucking nuts, dude.
What?
It's not. Yeah, there's people that actually want that. They want like a peaceful ethnic cleansing, is what they call it.
Where? In Quebec?
Well, maybe there's some dudes in Quebec that think that for sure because we're during the whole what do you call it? Do you hear about the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville?
No, man. I'm not connected enough. Like
That's great. No, it's perfect. Your life is you're leading a much more happy life when you don't listen to these, hear about these things. But so apparently, so Charlottesville has this statue. Which I think is either already removed or it's on its way to being removed and being put into a museum of General Lee, who is a General Robert Lee, who was one of the pretty much he was a what the fuck is the word here?
General?
No, dude. Like, what's the guy? The fucking a Confederate general. There he was. That's it. So
Okay.
that's what he was, right? So and they they erected these statues during, I guess, what was the Jim Crow era.
Okay.
Kind of like remind black people in the South of their place or something, and even though there's a debate on whether Robert Lee was actually just a full blown bad guy, because apparently he was he was like down to not really have slaves kind of thing. That's pretty much what's rumored. I haven't read enough about him to really kind of know. I can't say for sure, but anyway, so they want to remove this statue, and a bunch of fucking angry white folks got together and pretty much came from all over. And there's some people from Quebec that went to this thing, and then someone drove a car into a crowd of people, and then some lady died, and
That's insane. And you know what? I know
madness. It's madness, bro.
I know what you're talking about now because I saw it on this week, last week. What is it again? Last week with this week.
Last week tonight with John Oliver.
Yes, I think I saw it on his show or on some show like Bill Maher or something like that, and it was crazy because they were showing you like you saw sort of basically the white supremacists or whatever you want to call it, like saying how when they look at that statue, it's history to them and it's like their ancestor or their like great grandfather or some person, whatever it is, And then they interview, you know, an African American person talking about it. It's like, yeah, when I see that, it reminds me of, you know, all this other terrible, hateful stuff. And it's just like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, just let's be real here. You're hurting a whole group of people. Like, just wise up, you
Well,
know?
I mean, you're hurting a whole group of people either way. You know, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Like the thing is like the story behind Robert Lee is that he doesn't he like someone in the chat just said he was loyal to the South. You know, he wasn't like this fucking guy. Um, and yeah, that's I mean that's the thing, right? And it's just like all of this is kind of like I've been involved in this shit, right? And I'm still gonna talk about it, but I'm not gonna talk about it in a way that's like I was really kind of going hard at it and like really kind of calling people out, fucking calling them like losers, stuff like that. But like kind of just getting to the name calling and the mudslinging. It just made for a very unhappy environment, even though I've managed to do it in a way that's a lot more fun. But it still made me some enemies because people realize that, you know, here's this brown guy with a voice who's able to kind of like just talk
Yeah.
and talk shit. But yeah, dude, it's been absurd for me because, you know, we're Montrealers, you know, like for us being like we see people of all shades all day. It's not even a thing. We don't even like think about it. It doesn't even register anymore. It's like we just like walk by them. You know, it's like normal. And
Yeah.
so it's just fascinating for me to see a lot of people who are, I guess, like the rest of the world where this stuff isn't as common, are kind of reacting to this new shit. And of course, there are bad things happening. Where, you know, I think that Europe has a bit of a migrant crisis. Things haven't been handled properly. There have been some. It's really interesting. So what's supposed to happen? There's a rule, right? As a refugee, if you enter Europe, the country that you first get into, it needs to be the country that you stay in. You can't go to like the one country and then travel into another, right? But there have been actual people who are in Europe that are kind of like taking whatever they can from these refugees to kind of move them into other countries. So a lot of them moved into Germany because Germany isn't a bordering country in Europe. It's a country that's within Europe, right? So they're getting into these countries that are on the border, and then they're being driven into inland or like mainland Europe, if I can go ahead and call it. It's just like some bullshit's been going on, right? And of course, that's been affecting people adversely, and that's also been another subject of debate. Now, of course, you can go ahead and debate it. We can talk about it and have a great fucking time talking about it and trying to figure out what the solutions are. But it comes in tow with a lot of hatred and actual racism. And it gets, dude, it's so fucking annoying. It's been brutal for me sometimes, just hearing these people talk about stuff, and then just knowing my experiences in real life, like just leading up to where I'm at now. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? What reality are these people in? Like, cause it's insane, bro. It's actually fucking insane. Like, insane.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's been going on, right? You just been doing a thing.
Which is like so selfish, you know what I mean? Like,
no, it's fine. It's great. It's great. It's actually great. Keep doing that.
It's not great because I mean, at the same time, you know, like it's funny because you focus on your goals so much, and when you finally are self-actualized and you hit that thing that you've been trying to hit for so long, you start reflecting on everything. And I can honestly say, you know, I got to work, like when we worked on the real estate project, you know, I had the chance to meet Kader and all that stuff. I didn't really understand much about him, and I had this negative view on politicians and etc. And I'm the type of guy who would give the scapegoat answer, which is like, oh, I don't vote because I don't know what's going on. And to be honest, I regret that tremendously. And I've had friends. I have friends that that study political science, and you know, they went to Ottawa to study stuff and etc. And they would really not like it when I'd say stuff like that. And they're very close friends, and they would just let it be. You know, like everyone lets each other be. But I think this year kind of hit me how important it is to educate yourself on these issues and these things, because they matter. And the fact that I even have the opportunity to ignore it and focus on my stuff and do
amazing.
AR is because other people fought for me to have those rights and to have that experience. So it is selfish too
No,
much.
but it's fine. Everyone is selfish, and I think it's totally cool. And I think that you should. I think people would be a lot happier if they kind of just took a step back from trying to fix the fucking world and fix their fucking lives. That's pretty much what I've been trying to say recently,
Yeah.
dude. It's like these people are acting like they're gonna go ahead and like fucking change America or change Europe. Like, dude, change your fucking life, man. Leave your. You need to fucking figure out what's going on in your neighborhood first. Figure out what's happening in your neighborhood, man. Is there a community event happening? Are you going to these community events? Like, it's just like that kind of shit is the shit that grinds my gears. I go to networking events, you know, like I'm always around. I'm around everywhere in fucking Montreal. It's like I love this place, right? And if you love your country, if you love your fucking city, then why the fuck aren't you actually getting involved in your city? Why are you traveling around places just to go ahead and like talk some shit?
Yeah.
And I mean, listen, I get it. Like, I would love to tour America and just talk and interview people and just have a good time, but ultimately I know that I would fall back to my city and I would be involved. I like the sad thing is that like I don't want to be like this guy that is like this online dude, you know, like, because at the end of the day I got to live in Montreal. So if nobody knows me in Montreal, what the fuck's the point of living in Montreal? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's
the point.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, at the same time, you know, it's funny because you would think like even in business, like you build to scale, right? So you start in your you start in your garage or in your apartment, and then you get an office, and then you own your city, and then you go international, and like you go. The truth is that like at Fifth Wall, for example, we just went international right away, and we had very little presence in Montreal at all. And even recently, like most of my clients now are going to be, it's going to be Saudi, it's going to be London, it's going to be LA, it's going to be New York.
That's sick, man.
And Montreal, funny enough, is somewhat, you know, at least when it comes to that, when it comes to tech and stuff, in some ways it's super advanced. You have VR Vana that just was acquired by Apple. Apple bought them for $30 million, which is massive. VR Vana does an augmented reality headset, and it speaks to how Montreal is the best place to build an MVP and build a prototype in the world. And you have Felix and Paul, which is by far the highest quality cinematic virtual reality production you will ever find in the world, period. You have Chris Milk doing another company called Here Be Dragons. Chris Milk was responsible for doing, you know, Kanye West's music video, Touch the Sky. Amazing, amazing director. But, you know, has a different approach to content. I think his stuff is more entertaining. But in terms of quality of picture and technology behind the camera, Montreal is the hub for that too, with Felix and Paul. But from a media point of view and from a client point of view, it's a little slower around here. You know,
it is. It is.
I just recently had a bit of a falling out with a client because of the way that they view their audience and because of the way that they view their content. You know, they rip off other people, and it's just not my approach to doing things. I like doing original stuff that's going to blow people's minds, not you know, get Tom Cruise, like film Tom Cruise doing his zero-G stunt in VR and make sure that audience is floating with him. Let's create that illusion. Like, that's going to blow people's minds.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No.
The little AR thing on Occupation Double, like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But I can anyways. Yeah.
No, that's fucking sick, dude. That's really sick. That's really sick. Listen, dude, I think we're coming up to the hour.
Sure.
I think that dude, this has been fucking amazing. It was nice to talk to you. We have to catch up, especially if you need a marketer.
A marketer. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
if you need someone. But yeah, no, regardless, we should definitely catch up and like just fucking get a coffee and just chill. But it's been pretty it's just been like nice to talk to you about something that I know very little about, which is what Saudi Arabia is like, or what and you were there firsthand to be at a fucking like legit conference that involves people trying to make the world a more interesting place, which is interesting, which is fascinating.
Yeah, a better place, period. You're talking about, you know, top space companies, top environmentalist companies and all that stuff. So, you know.
It's fucking sick, man. It's fucking sick. And on top of that, the best part about this conversation is that, and I kind of want to start doing this maybe a little bit more, maybe pepper them in a little bit here and there. but like I want to start talking to a lot more Montrealers and bringing them onto my channel, just kind of like show everyone on the internet that that things are happening here. There's like things.
Yeah,
I think Montreal is poised to become one of the next big major hubs in North America again.
yeah.
It was on its way there in the 60s, and then it got fucked over because of the language stuff. But now with the new generation of people that want to make money, and with Montreal's new city-state status, actually, it's got a new status now. Apparently, it's like it's just like it can do its own thing almost in a way.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I need to look into that a little bit more, but it's really interesting. Like, I think companies are going to start coming back in and start to take start to.
Yeah, you have tax credits here. So the other night I was having dinner at Garde Manger, and what's the name of the guy that plays Jim Halpert on The Office?
No idea.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
So he's sitting right next to me. And
Wow.
when I went to LA, I went to Amazon Studios to pitch VR to them. I knew that Tom Krasinski, is it that head? Whatever. He's working on Jack Ryan, and there are all kinds of like celebrities that come here, from Chris Walken to Jennifer Lawrence to Michael Fassbender, the entire cast of X-Men and all this stuff, because our city, because actually the province cares about that sort of richness and wants to create a hub of that here, because they give the tax credits, and the studio, they thank us for that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like super, especially when, so I've been living in Griffin, Conegal Port, so you see these people all the time, and you're just like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, really? Like, that guy is like just walking down the street like nobody's business, like nobody cares. It's like, all right. And you just keep going, but it's like our little city, you can pick it up in places here and there, even on television shows. The final episode of Mad Men 2, he's smoking Du Maurier with his Montreal girlfriend, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's cool. I think that I honestly feel like Montreal is like that low key city that no one's really kind of paid attention to, but it's just gonna come out of nowhere and just slap its dick down on the table and be like, "Yo, by the way, we're here."
Yeah,
I can't wait for that. That's why, like, I've just been like really trying to make some major efforts in the e-media scene over here. They don't really have, a lot of these traditional like news stations like CJAD, like CTV, all that stuff. They're online, but they're not really online.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they put their stuff online as video on demand and stuff like that, but they're not doing any kind of like live stuff, and there's no one to really kind of bring you the live shit happening in Montreal, and that's what I'm trying to make happen. So we're setting that up. But yeah, dude, listen, dude, it's been so nice to fucking talk to you.
Yep.
And for those of you guys that aren't aware, you can actually go and follow Christopher Olimpo on Instagram. That's the place that he's like a little bit more active. I don't think that I tried looking for your website. Do you have your website set up with Gliitch?
No.
Not yet. Okay, so that's it. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that when he starts updating that, you guys will be able to see. So you go ahead and give him a follow. He's going to be traveling around the world. He's going to have clients from everywhere, and hopefully he'll pop in a picture on my social at some point too, because I'd love to see you again, man.
No, we're definitely hang out soon. I hope this was interesting for you and your audience and everything else. And
I'm sure it was. There weren't a lot of people here because what's happening right now is there's some kind of, oh, dude, I'll just fill you in on this before I fucking go.
Yeah.
This is so good. And for those of you guys that are watching this, that find this interesting, you guys can go ahead and clip this and then share it as much as you'd like. But okay, because I'm explaining some stupid drama to my friend in real life who's not even going to give a fuck afterwards when I'm done with this, but it's just fun for you guys. But so have you heard of the alt-right? Do you know what the alt-right are?
Yeah.
Okay, the alt-right are the new, they're considered the new right, but they pretty much just like for the most part are a pack of racists, right? And they don't really like so I have some alt-right audience members that don't really like that description, but I mean, listen, at the end of the day, they come in tow with a lot of fucking retards that just say a bunch of stupid shit, and that they exist on both sides, which is why I'm so like centered and I'm like fucking annoyed with everyone. But anyway, there was a server that I was by. You know what Discord is?
No.
Okay, Discord is a voiceover. It's pretty much a voiceover IP application
Okay.
is for gamers. It was built for the ground up for gamers. So if you're like a streamer, you can have your community on there, and that's what I started off as on YouTube, a streamer, right? And so I had a community and all that, and eventually they developed into different practices, right? So I was invited into this server that was pretty much the anti-alt-right server that was there to kind of like, that was loaded with like archaeologists, historians, scientists, biologists, all that stuff, and they were there pretty much for me to like kind of use as a resource if I wanted to make anti-alt-right videos to counter their claims on race and history and culture and stuff like that, right? So I was like, okay, cool, I can join the server. And so I joined the server, but then, I didn't really make any videos on the alt-right. I started doing interview series like this one, and I started like, just doing other stuff, just covering topics as I wanted to cover them. But I really didn't touch up on the alt-right because I was like, it's just a lot of, it's a negative topic to cover. I know like what's going to happen when I do it. It's just going to stir the hornet's nest, and it's going to make a bunch of people unhappy, and nothing really is actually going to come of it, right? So I was like, I took a back seat in the server. But then it turns out recently, and this is just as it came back to Twitter, that there was some fucking guy on there collecting people's actual personal information, like their addresses and stuff like that, and was looking to kind of leak it. And because I was in this server, I was implicated in it, and they're like, what the fuck were you doing in this server? And so I was just like, really? Are you fucking serious? So now there's been this huge thing going on in the community that I'm in online on YouTube, and they're all watching that shit. Everyone's kind of paying attention to that, and I'm like not really participating in that drama because it's just pointless shit. So yeah.
That sounds like so much drama.
Yeah, dude, it's so much drama, and it's like, and at the end of the day, nothing really happens because, dude, I've seen some people get exposed for some crazy shit. Like there was this one guy last year that was pretty much selling a gambling site or pitching or advertising a gambling site to his young viewers, all right? Something called CS:GO Lotto, and he wasn't disclosing the information. He wasn't disclosing that it was his own gambling site. He was acting like, oh, wow, I found this sick site called CS:GO Lotto. You should check it out. Oh my God, look, I won like $2,000 in CS:GO Lotto today. And a bunch of kids would go on and they would like buy like CS:GO stuff, and then they would just start selling it there. And this started some crazy shit. I mean, this was covered, I think, like on actual like news sources. And even then, nothing came of it. Nothing came of it. Like all these things happen and nothing happens. Like people start getting exposed to be like these fucking terrible people. Nothing happens. George Takai got fucking exposed for not exposed. Well, he has allegations on him, and that guy is just chilling. No one cares. Nothing happens.
The Star Trek guy.
Yeah, the Star Trek guy. Yeah, he apparently grabbed some dude's dick after.
Kevin Spacey got murdered.
Yeah.
Got murdered.
Which by the way, Kevin Spacey is probably going to come back later on. Dude, the guy's got money. You think that dude with money is gonna go to jail? Like he's not gonna go to jail, and he's just gonna be like shunned. But that shun is only really gonna work as far as it has a buy-in. He'll have a buy-in. He always has a fucking buy-in. Everyone, dude, nothing happens.
But it kind of, I think people at that level, they don't do it for the money anymore. And you do it, like, you don't become an actor just to make money. Because the sacrifice that it takes to become an actor is intense, right? And you look at, it's not even a comparison, but why am I going to Rob Lowe. So, like, I saw the roast of Rob Lowe, and I had no idea that the reason why Rob Lowe's career tanked was because he was caught. There was a sex tape of him sleeping with an underage girl. I can't remember if she was underage or 17 or whatever, 18, whatever it is. And he had no idea, and it got leaked and all this stuff, and it crushed his career. I think, and he did come back, right? He comes back on Parks and Recreation and everything else, and he sort of brings back. But he was like he was the Zac Efron of that time.
Yeah.
And it killed it, it killed him for years. And I think that follows you forever as like that stain on your face, and that I think people like that, they care about history, they care about legacy, and there's a bigger reason than money that will make you not want that to happen. And I think,
of course, I don't think that I definitely would. Are you kidding me? Like, even if I had fucking money, I wouldn't want any kind of bullshit like that happening to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to get myself involved in this stuff. In fact, this whole hashtag Me Too thing has kind of got me to like really be very careful about how I talk to women in terms of in private situations, at parties. Really fucking chill. Like dude, I have my arms crossed. Most of the time I have my arms crossed, my legs crossed. I'm just chilling, you know, like talking to them. It's completely changed, you know?
Similar to Bill Burr's joke, which is like how, you know, like in the 80s, if you're at a park, if you're at Central Park and you see a group of kids playing and kids throwing the ball around and ball falls next to you, kid walks up and just like tap him on the head, you're like, ah, slugger, you know, here's your ball, you know, like. But nowadays, if that same situation happened and the kid walked up next to you, you're like, get that kid away from me.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, no, I don't want, no, please, don't want to touch, don't anything happening. Really, just do not want it. Just
that's kind of sad, you know.
It is very sad. It is very sad, but I think that things are going to calm down eventually, and then when things calm down, you know, they'll be just like it'll just be a normal thing, especially if you can build social cohesion, right? So this is ultimately comes back to what I've been saying. If you can build yourself in the community, if you can build your community around you in real life, then you will not have to worry about this. You'll be able to have that life where you can kind of like, you know, have like people leave an open door. Like, remember back in the day, people would just leave their doors open? Like, that's something that doesn't happen nowadays, but it's starting to come up. People leave their doors open. You know, like I spend sometimes an entire day with the door open. I don't fucking care. I don't care who the fuck walks. I care who walks in. I don't think anyone's gonna walk in. That's the thing. Yeah. I don't think it's gonna happen. So yeah, listen, dude, Chris, I gotta go, man. I gotta go. But dude, thank you so much, and to my audience that were here, thank you guys very much for being here. I really appreciate you guys. I know there weren't a lot of people here. Maybe the chat was a little bit boring. You know, I don't know what's going on. Maybe YouTube's not sending out the notification, or it has everything to do with the fact that there's another big stream happening. But it doesn't matter. Whoever was here, I really appreciate you. If you guys are interested in supporting me on Patreon, you can go ahead and do that. It's a per video basis. You can do anything from $1 to $20. Also, if you just want to go ahead and make a one-time donation, there's links in the description below. You can go ahead and just subvert YouTube's process and just go directly to PayPal, or you can use Streamlabs, or you can even buy my merch. I recently came out with a hoodie and a T-shirt that's available in I think 5 colors each. And I bought the hoodie in purple, and it says Uncle Bunty's Butter Biscuits on it, and it's got me laughing on it. It's a really, really nice fucking design. I like it a lot. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait to see who bought it, because I think about 7 or 8 people have already bought one. But yeah, it's a limited time only. I think it's got about 9 days left on the campaign. I'll see you guys soon. Take it easy. Huh? Bye-bye. And Chris, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it, man.
Oh, man. Talk to you soon.